Yo, hello everybody and welcome back yet again to another daily update video. My name is CryptoStash. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having an amazing week. Currently it is Thursday and right now let's get right into the charts for Bitcoin. We also want to cover what happened yesterday during the FOMC news. Basically the federal funds rate, they remained unchanged as I have told you in my video yesterday. We remained at 4.5%, you can see right here. So no rate cut was expected. As I have told you, basically what happened last year during the summer months, we did not get a cut basically, and we got that cut I think September. So basically in about 2-3 months, when September comes, the next FOMC meeting, I think they will cut those rates and basically September in my opinion, and which also perfectly correlates with Bitcoin getting in that quarterly four basically in Q4, which tends to be the most bullish quarter and the best performing time for Bitcoin, as you know. So right now let's get back into the chart. You can see Bitcoin yesterday what happened. If we go on a lower time frame, we can see we got a fake out below the value area low. We actually broke it, but a lot of sellers have stepped in right here, you can see, and also bouncing from that first weekly pivot support. We did got a dump of around 2.5% basically. Once the FOMC meeting started, the markets were dumping, but after that you can see the market recovered pretty well, and we are right now back at that weekly pivot for Bitcoin, and also pushing above the POC where most of the volume sits, you can see right here. So why this happened yesterday at those lows, basically the range low, if we look at our data right here, the CVD and the open interest, the CVD went down, the open interest went up. So what this means is that we got a lot of short positions opening at the range lows right here, and they basically got squeezed very hard to the upside with a pump of around 2%. But we also did liquidate a lot of long positions during this correction right here. Those were basically late longs, and they got also liquidated, but the smart money buyers, they stepped in during this low since they saw that there were a lot of short positions opening right here, and they pushed price back above basically. And right now Bitcoin is still keeping a higher price of around 180,000.6. You can see if we go back into the chart right now, we are still pretty close to that value area high basically of the range. We need to get another 1% of a pump in order for us to reach basically this range high, and then potentially if we go on the weekly, you can see right here we will be getting in about 3 days a new weekly candle open. So since we are still ranging, but right now this is not important. What important is the new monthly candle, which will be opening in about 7 hours. And in my opinion, it is very possible that we first get some kind of a retracement, potentially down to 110, 111k, basically half of the previous month body candle will potentially get retested, in my opinion, since this tends to happen very often. Once we get a new monthly candle opened, you need to also read the candles, not only the indicators, but our RSI is showing us that we are hitting that 80 line on the monthly, which might lead to some more summer side chop, or we might get finally that correction to the downside. Also the daily time frame for Bitcoin, we can see we are actually getting the RSI momentum cooled off, hitting that 50 line. You can see having a bounce from here. So as long as we don't lose this range, it is also possible that the new monthly candle will be bullish. But if we lose this range right here, then I am expecting a test of this previous range, basically 109k. And if we also look, we do have a lot of liquidity sitting down here to 110, 111k, and also 109. And we might visit those ranges again, basically for Bitcoin. Now, if we look at Ethereum, after rejecting from this very key 4-year resistance, right here you can see currently hitting the weekly pivot. If you go on a lower time frame, you can see Ethereum bouncing from this weekly pivot right now. We are still above this level, got tested many times, you can see, since the beginning of the new week, and this is what is keeping us afloat right now. We got that fake out and touch of the first weekly pivot support. Basically, this happened during yesterday's news. As I have told you, there will be a lot of volatility, and this is exactly what we got. But then Ethereum pushed back above the weekly pivot, and right now is once again testing it as support right here. But finally, if we don't get that push above and flip this very key 4-year resistance as support, I don't think we will be seeing soon a hit of the all-time high from 2021, which is basically sitting at let me check, which is sitting at $4,800 for Ethereum. We will need another pump of about 25% in order to get us there. And this will be for Ethereum. Now let's look at Solana. Solana currently below on the weekly time frame. We are below the value area high of this very important range. We need to see a weekly candle close basically above this range in order for Solana to actually continue higher. We do not want to see this weekly candle close below it. We want to see this candle close above it, and then we can start getting that push up for Solana. But as you can see right now, we are creating lower highs right here. So maybe we go down to set another lower high, something like this potentially here down at the POC, and then we can potentially start running up like this. This would take a lot of time. This would basically, in my opinion, happen during Q4, basically all the way right here. You can see November, December, and October. If this happens to play out like this. Also Sui still looks pretty nice. I mean, on the daily, we are not losing this level right here that we broke out of. If we pull up a range, you can see we are currently perfectly sitting on the value area low of that range, which perfectly correlates with that first weekly pivot support you can see right here. So we might be getting that bounce from Sui right here, potentially make some kind of a double bottom right here, and the price might continue to the upside. But as you know, it all depends on what Bitcoin does next. So we need to see Bitcoin also continue in order for the altcoins to start running again. But as of right now, Sui is still looking pretty good in my opinion. And if we look a bit at the stock market, what happened yesterday, if we go on a low time frame, what happened yesterday with the stock market during Powell's speech, basically we went all the way down to that weekly pivot. We actually did get a fake out as well on the stock market, but a lot of sellers, a lot of buyers once again stepped in at this low right here, and they bought up this entire move to the downside, and the price recovered. The same happened to the Nasdaq. Perfect touch of the weekly pivot, a fake out, and then a massive pump to the second weekly pivot resistance. You can see right here basically almost 2% of a pump for the Nasdaq. And I think the dollar is running right now. The dollar is something to keep an eye out of for Bitcoin, since as you know, all of this time, if you go on the weekly, the dollar right now still in a pretty heavy downtrend, you can see right here. But if we get out of this downtrend and start seeing a reversal for the dollar, basically this will not be good for Bitcoin, since you can see the last time when the dollar started running, basically October 21 all the way up to September, or basically when we made that high on September 2022. I think that's all of this run that the dollar had to the upside. Bitcoin was in that nasty bear market right here all of this time. Basically, let me check. So basically, November 2021 until November 2022, exactly where Bitcoin bottomed out. This whole move that Bitcoin had to the downside, basically the dollar had its run to the upside. So something very important to keep an eye out right now is the dollar. But I don't think, still, since we got a pretty heavy downtrend, it might take some time, or maybe some more sideways chop like the range right here before the dollar starts recovering to the upside. So by the time that dollar actually starts running up again, in my opinion, Bitcoin would be higher than right now, potentially 150 to 200,000 basically. And one more chart that I want to look at is that Bitcoin dominance, the most important chart right now in my opinion, since you can see the Bitcoin dominance has been going since September 2022 in a very heavy uptrend. This is why most of the altcoins are like half away from their all-time high and struggling to push more, like Solana basically, and some of the other altcoins. We did see some nice moves, but most of them, they are struggling, like let's say for example AVAX, it is struggling. What else? Litecoin is also struggling. Basically the all-time high of Litecoin was at 287. So some old altcoins like these ones, they are struggling because of that Bitcoin dominance keeps rising. So in order for us to see a real run in the altcoins, we want to see that Bitcoin dominance finally break this trend line and potentially also break this low right here for a real run to start the real altcoin season before we get that bull run actually over. So this would be my outlook for the charts today, guys. Remember to like the video, subscribe for the channel, follow me on X, and also remember to sign up on KSX to trade basically with zero spot fees, zero maker, and 0.01 taker on the futures. Basically the lowest fees out of any exchange. You can sign up using my link, which would be in the description, or use the code right here. And I'll see you again in the next one. Bye.